Now we're joined by Grant Hall. Grant, man, I'll be honest with you, dude. About 12-minute mark in the second half, I started dozing off. I didn't really make it to the end of the game. I don't know if you did too, but, man, big win for the Hogs.
Yeah, that was pretty useful, wasn't it? And that most people seem to think that Arkansas is in now, but I wouldn't stop playing if I were them because, the thing about this, it's almost like Greg Sankey is pulling the strings. Okay, this team needs to win this game. This team, Georgia got hot, and now Texas is back in it. And about the only, I guess Oklahoma would have a long way to go to get. But, they got Texas Saturday, and maybe they do something in the tournament. But Arkansas needed the one last night at Vanderbilt. They got it. Pat Bradley called them the Junkyard Hogs.
Nice.
Which is pretty apt. Matt, did you ever, like in youth center, did you ever play on a team that had 5 or 6 players and you loved it because you knew you were going to get a lot of playing time? That's kind of what these guys now, they're used to playing with this group, and they know they're going to get good playing time, especially Brazile, who had a great one last night.
All 5 starters in double figures, and it seems that's kind of the theme. The thing I like about this team is they're not selfish. I mean, they share the ball, they pass the ball. They don't take a lot of bad shots. But I mean, 50%. We were the more athletic team. I don't know who impressed you the most last night, other than Brazile. But the freshman Carter Knox, man, he just seems to be real consistent. I'm looking forward to what he does next year in a Razorback uniform.
Yeah, and it was one of those rare games when actually Arkansas had a height advantage. I mean, Vanderbilt doesn't go any taller than 6'7". I thought that came into play, with Ivisic and Brazile and Aidoo had a pretty good game. So it felt, once Arkansas got ahead, Brazile at that first 3-pointer at the start of the second half, it looked like a likely Arkansas win, which I'm sure allowed fans all over the state to breathe much more easily because you got this Mississippi State game Saturday morning. I think Arkansas, I saw this stat, they're 1-17 in the last 18 games that started before noon or something like that. So they have not done well in these early games. But it's a home game. Now, Mississippi State's coming off a hurtful loss. You could tell it bothered the coach last night to lose that one. So, I mean, I'm sure it'll be another tough one, and they'll need everybody there on Saturday.
Grant, this is Clay. Give me your thoughts on the women's All-SEC team and Izzy Higginbotham not being on it.
Absolute travesty, Clay. I mean, I've watched most of her games, and she's if she scores 18 today, she's going to break Chelsea Dungy's single-season scoring record at Arkansas. I wasn't sure she would make the first team because the record has been bad, but I thought, surely she'd make the second team. And as much as anything, Clay, it's probably oversight. I mean, you know how these things are. I believe this was a vote of the coaches, and a lot of times the coaches don't actually vote. Maybe the SID does. And she just fell through the cracks. I mean, I can't imagine that she'd be left off if they really sat down and thought about it for a while.
I mean, she's led the league. She's, just to imagine Trey Johnson not making the team. The guard from Texas. He's the leading scorer in the league.
Or that kid from South Carolina. Their post they have that he's an absolute. He's one of the best bigs. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean their records they're not any good either. But it's the tough part about these the SEC now is there's 16 teams. So
there were 17 spots too. I think that's what makes it.
They expanded it a little bit. Yeah, they have. I got bad feelings over this, and
when Dungy was slighted. She came and had a great SEC tournament, and they got to the finals. Now, this Arkansas team's not going to do that. I think they have a decent chance today against a Georgia team they just lost to by 1 point. Right now, Tennessee's leading A&M 42-26. So, it's Arkansas would have to, if they won today, would have to beat Oklahoma, and they're really good. So, it's going to be a pretty short stay. But I've watched Izzy. She's just so strong, and she's probably not 5'6" really. I mean, she's listed at 5'7", but to do all the things she's done this year, and 90% free throw, and I mean, you all know the records. It's just, to me, it's just oversight, and maybe they can use it for fuel. But I would expect her to play pretty well today.
Grant, we got before I ask you a spring football question, I want to talk to you a little about Arnold Palmer's Invitational that's coming up here at Bay Hill. And I never saw Arnie play. What do you remember about watching Arnold Palmer play? And was him and Jack, was that really like was that a manufactured rivalry, or was that a real rivalry?
No, it was real. And the first time I saw Arnold, he was 40 years old at Southern Hills, Clay, which you know very well. And he was just bigger than life. He was on the fourth green. I'll never forget it. Whose dog is that? It's not mine.
That's mine. That's okay. Mine.
But he
sees the deer.
He had that ability to galvanize people in the gallery. And even yesterday, they were talking about how he would look you in the eye and did so many things for so many people. I mean, it's funny, Arnold won 7 majors in about a 6 or 7 year span. But during that time, I mean, I've seen him play a lot and Tiger play a lot. And if anything, Arnold's galleries got more excited than even Tiger's did and have done. I mean, that's the effect he had on people. Clay, I don't know how much if you got to see him very much.
Yeah,
but,
I'm going to hold back a little bit because what I'm going to say about him is going to fill a whole segment. I don't want to do that to you, Grant. And so I'll just say I thought he thought the world of him, and my Uncle Bill Henry, who's, pro at Western Hills and Riverdale and Little Rock. He says that his livelihood was impacted in a most unbelievably positive way by what, Arnie did to golf. That was when TV was coming in, and he popularized golf in the same way Tiger did for, if you talk to Todd Dunaway or, just any of the pros around Northwest Arkansas, they'll say the same thing. Like 15 years ago, the boost that they got from Tiger, Arnie did the same thing, in the early 60s. And, that's all I'm going to say now. I got my Arnie stories for another segment.
Yeah, I could talk all day about him, but you probably want to get to some other things like for example, guys, at baseball yesterday, extraordinary. The double rainbow. Arkansas is within 1 out.
One for each Hawaiian we got. I like it.
It reminded me of a Southwest Conference tournament years ago in College Station where there was about a 60-mile-an-hour wind, and it rained for 3 days, and Arkansas and Texas were there in the midst of one of these things. The stuff was flying into the press box, and all of Arkansas's guys were out there trying to help bring the tarp onto the field in time. All the Texas players sat in the dugout, didn't do anything.
Tea-sippers, Grant, they're tea-sippers.
That's right. Well, yesterday there just weren't enough guys out there, and the wind got going, and there had been lightning, so it wasn't exactly the safest time to do this thing. And so the third base area just got soaked, and they couldn't finish the game, even though 10 minutes later it was calm as it could be. So they'll finish it at 2 o'clock today and then play another one at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, they need a run to end the game, and the run's on third base, right?
Yeah, second and third, nobody out with, I think, Aloy up there, if I'm not mistaken. Cahillo got 2 more RBIs. He's got 18 RBIs and is about as hot as I've seen a guy. Dave was asked about that. He said maybe Kerstad in the year they got shortened by COVID, just nobody could get him out. They couldn't get him out on their own team, the other team, and that's what's going on right now with him.
The only guy other guy besides Kerstad that I would compare what Cahillo is doing right now is the first half of the conference season with Benintendi, and I think he hit like 12 or 13. He hit his home runs in conference play. He had not done all that much in all that once. I think he went to South Carolina and maybe hit 3 down there. And I mean, for about a month, it was, they were pitching to him because he had, his numbers had not been that good in the non-conference. It's really unusual to see, the conference numbers to double the non-conference. But hey, he's hit rockets, but then he hit kind of two little bleeders yesterday for hits.
Yeah.
It's like that when you're going hot. Yeah.
He had that one game. He hit 4 balls over 110 miles, or about 106 mph and higher in one game. So, and he wasn't even playing all the time at the start of the year. He doesn't really have a position, so he's DHing, trying to learn the outfield a little bit for next year. But it's fun.
Hey, Grant, last thing here. Spring ball is just right around the corner. Give me a position on defense that you feel good about, and then a position that you're not necessarily worried about, but you're excited to check out and hope that they blossom a little bit.
Well, I'm going to probably defer to Clay on this because he's probably thought a little bit more about football than I have. And we're in the season where there's 8 other sports I'm watching, so I haven't thought too much about it. I do know Sam's going to talk to us, I think, tomorrow. And I'll probably have more for you next week.
I know we had
that.
Yeah, fair enough. We had the biggest, as far as we have 33, as far as we led the SEC and transfer portal guys. So we have a lot of new faces up there on the hill.
Yeah, I think it's better stocked than it was last year. They won 7 last year, and I think when you have a quarterback coming back who's played a lot, who's very good, it gives you a chance. But other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing him out there before too long.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.